It is the Behind the Book Sports Betting Series live from the MGM Grand, brought to you by the Play MGM app. Gil Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network and the bona fide star of the show, ladies and gentlemen, Vice President of Racing Sports at MGM Resorts International, Jay Rude. Good morning, Jay.
Good afternoon, Gil.
Good afternoon as well. How are you?
Good. Yeah, having a meeting-free day, so I got to work on some actual stuff that's kind of important.
You doing some rodeo lines?
Yeah. Actually, we need to come up with some bull riding for tomorrow. So
okay.
Yeah, I was looking at that a little bit.
Nice job.
Work on
nice
that
gig.
Later tonight and have that up in the morning.
Okay, coming off another losing football week for you guys?
Another losing football week. Yep. Thanks for bringing that up.
You are quite welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Coming up on this week's show, 3 NFL games as we always do. The marquee games, good games. Seattle at Jacksonville. We'll talk about that. Minnesota traveling to Carolina. And, of course, big game between the Eagles and the Rams. That's probably the best of them all. And on a week before bowl season, Army-Navy, all on Behind the Book. Standalone game in college football on this week's Behind the Book. Gil Alexander from VSiN, Jay Rude from MGM Resorts International, Army-Navy for the Commander-in-Chief Trophy.
Right.
Now, this is for dominance between the military academies, Army, Navy, and Air Force during the season. This is the first time since 2012 where it will be decided in the Army-Navy game specifically. Army has not won the Commander-in-Chief Trophy since 1996. 2 running teams, and when I mean running, Jay. They don't pass the football.
Right.
Over 4,000 yards for Army on the ground, almost 4,000 yards for Navy, the number 1 and 2 rushing offenses in the country. What's interesting here from a betting standpoint, yes, Navy is a 3-point favorite, but the total, 51 all the way down to 46, people expecting more of the run. Why would it have opened at 51?
Well, I mean, just because you run the ball doesn't mean you can't be productive. You know, we're number 1 and 2 in the nation. These teams can put points up on the board. It's not going to be necessarily a 17-14 or a 10-7 game. Both these guys are capable of scoring in the 30s. You didn't say anything about their defenses, so maybe that's why it's 51.
That could be the answer. And it's quarterback driven, that's for sure. Ahmad Bradshaw for Army, 1,372 yards on the ground this year himself, 11 touchdowns. And then you got Zach Abey for Navy. He's got just below that in terms of yards gained with 14 touchdowns on the ground, actually. So that's where it starts. And when I say they don't pass, like I really mean they don't pass. There have been 3 games this year where Army did not complete a single pass. 1 game where they did not even attempt to pass. And by the way, they're 3-0 in those games.
So you just gave me a great prop, which I think we'll probably go back and put up.
There you go.
Pass attempts combined by both teams.
It should probably be around 4.5, 5.5, somewhere in there.
5.5. I think Navy will probably throw the ball a little bit more because they're a little more successful at it than Army. It's just not in the Army DNA to throw the ball, basically. Navy's been in a couple of games where they've been maybe a little bit behind. They've had they've been in a spot where they have to sort of pass. But I mean, all from everything that's on the field, I think it's almost more exciting in the stands. This game has so much tradition, so much history, so much passion. Everybody that's going to be in that Lincoln Financial Field on Saturday is as invested in this game as you could possibly be. I mean, this is one of the most fun games of the year to watch. I mean, I watch a ton of football, especially college football, and this is one of the games I always make a point to almost watch it from start to finish because it has so much other external things going on. It's a great game, and I'm glad it's a game that they've been able to keep single. And they don't screw it up because of television or this or that.
They do not. Standalone. Big handle on this, or moderate, small?
It's going to be a good handle game. It's never a huge handle game.
Okay.
But, since it's standalone, we do pretty well to it.
All right. Army-Navy. Navy favored by a field goal on Saturday here in college football. It is the Behind the Book Sports Betting Series, Week 14 in the NFL. Gil Alexander from VSiN, Jay Rude from MGM Resorts International. Good games in the NFL. Let us begin, sir. With Minnesota at Carolina, the Vikings 3-point road favorites in this game. Last week, Jay, against the Falcons, Case Keenum in the second half, 11 for 11 for 117 yards. Vikings beat the Falcons 14-9, cover in the process. Vikings have won 8 games in a row. First time they've done that since 1998. Carolina, on the other hand, struggled against the Saints. Sometimes, though, these things come down to third down conversions, sort of high leverage situations that mask a team's true skill set. Carolina 3 for 10 on third. That's got to improve for them to get it done here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we're maybe witnessing the resurrection of Kurt Warner here with Case Keenum.
Wow,
I mean,
big words.
It's kind of, he's having a great year, and he sort of came off the same path. I mean, a journeyman that found himself in a spot at the right team and the right time, and is taking full advantage of it. I mean, early in the year, I was just like, Vikings, all right, they'll be a competitive here and there. But I never imagined that they would have been the kind of success that they've had.
10-2, along with the Eagles' best record in the NFL.
I know, and it's it doesn't look like they're slowing down. And the best thing is, they got a great defense, which is what you need in the playoffs. I mean, that's when they're really going to be tough. Is when they get in the playoffs with that defense. And Case Keenum, he's not managing the game; he's winning games. I mean, he's doing everything that you want an NFL starter to do.
That's right. Not a game manager, not damning him with faint praise of a game manager, really getting it done. And now this whole deal with Teddy Bridgewater just being a bad game away from playing, that's not really on the table anymore either. Yeah. And keep in mind, the Super Bowl this year in Minnesota. Minnesota wins out, gets home field, let's say, in the playoffs. They get a de facto home game in the Super Bowl. Right now, as is for this game, 3-point road favorites. You think that gets off the number at all?
I think it can. I mean, again, Panthers, not really a great public team, drawing a lot of money this year. Vikings are a public team at this point. I mean, they're getting bet heavily in every game. Last week they were a team, they got bet in that game. This week we're going to, every week we're not needing the Vikings anymore. And
you don't like being in that position?
No, not necessarily. I mean, we might go double big, to test the waters, but if the money comes really heavy, jump it up to 3.5.
Double vig, meaning instead of -110, the Vikings would be -3, -120. That's bookmaker talk, boys and girls. Yeah. Vikings -3 on the road, facing the Carolina Panthers, total at 41. Come on down to the MGM Grand. Bet it, Week 14 in the NFL. I say it every week. I will say it again. This is my favorite segment, Jay. Ask the Pro on the Behind the Book series, brought to you by the Play MGM app. It's where we take a question from Twitter and we respond in kind. Hopefully, honestly and openly. You willing to do that?
Honestly and openly, absolutely. I got nothing to hide on this side. I mean, it's all the wise guys that have all the secrets and operate in the little circles.
See what I let you know here. Here's a question from the Twitterverse. Is there ever a time where you'd suggest just betting the money line in games with tight spreads? Continues, are there really that many games settled by less than a field goal? And when do you guys bet the money line? So a whole bunch into one right there. I will start, if you don't mind, by saying that I will bet the money line in certain situations when there is more value on that. And let me give you an example. The Super Bowl itself. Take the New England-Atlanta Super Bowl from this past year. Oh, you know where I'm going, don't you? For whatever reason, the betting public bets the Super Bowl differently than they do the rest of the regular season. So in the regular season, on an underdog, more likely to take the points. But in the Super Bowl, the public says, you know what? I'm taking a shot. I'm money lining the dog. And so artificially, the money line on the favorite gets muted. It was the only bet I made last year. New England Patriots, like -141, which is good value. Yeah. Never in doubt, by the way, Jay.
Never in doubt. You were in that all the way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that probably of the sporting events outside of Conor McGregor and Mayweather, that money line traditionally every year, year in and year out, is probably what you would say is a blue light special. I mean, that's always a little bit on sale, the Super Bowl favorite money line, just because you said the public is taking the shot with the positive money on the other side. And for me personally, on this question, as if I was answering it from a purely gambler's perspective, I almost would always lay the points because I have the mindset if I'm laying a favorite, you're betting the favorite to win because you think they're a certain domination factor involved, and I almost disregard the point spread.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a dog player. I'm more than likely, if I'm going to bet a money line, I look for value on the positive side. If I think a team can actually win outright, that's when I get engaged on a money line, especially 4, 5, 6 range, that range. Mm-hmm. If it's over a touchdown, it's hard to pass up taking a free touchdown. But where you're 4, 5, or 6, where you're getting plus $1.70 to like maybe $2.20, I'm all over that.
It's interesting. 83% of the time, historically, regular season, 83% of the time, the point spread does not come into play.
Right.
That is to say, only 17% of the time does the favorite win but not cover. The rest, the favorite covers or the dog wins outright. That's pretty amazing. Also, 12% of games in the NFL fall on 3 exactly. And since week 6 of this year in the NFL, our friend Matt tells us, just 2 games have fallen with fewer than 3 points rather as the final outcome. That's amazing.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because all through November, I was getting destroyed. So big favorites were covering, point spreads. Nothing was close. So I can kind of understand that. But San Francisco was playing very close early on.
They were.
In the early going, sometimes there is a tighter organization.
Yeah. Well, we hope something in there informs some of your bets moving forward. Ask the Pro each and every week, right here on Behind the Book. Behind the Book, Week 14 in the NFL continues. Gil Alexander, Jay Rude with, you ready for this? The Seahawks at the Jaguars. Seahawks, 3-point road dogs in this one. Everybody saw the Seahawks' great performance on Sunday night against the Eagles, where they beat the Eagles outright as about 3-point closing underdogs in that game. And then there's Jacksonville, who lost 74 of 96 games in the last 6 seasons. They have guaranteed themselves already at least a 500 season this year.
Yeah, that's a lot of negative history.
Yeah.
And
Wise guys finally got it right about the Jaguars.
Finally, It took 5 years of investing in it to finally pay off.
Eventually, we knew they'd get it right.
Seahawks, though, I don't know if the Seahawks had a great performance. Russell Wilson had an outstanding performance.
You're so right.
So, I mean, and they need that every week out of him. I mean, because their offensive line is just not what it used to be. Their defense, obviously, is just, really banged up. But, I mean, that was a pleasure to watch last week because we actually needed not Seahawks to win, just to lose less, which is always a great position to be in, right?
Yeah.
Lose a whole crap pot of money over here or lose a little bit. And we were rooting to, lose a little bit. And we were kind of in the same situation Monday night, with the Steelers, too, because they teased the crap out of every team all the way through. And we actually needed Cincinnati to win. And imagine they didn't do that.
Tease the crap out of every team.
Yes.
Technical jargon from Jay Rude, Vice President of Bracing Sports here at MGM Resorts International. This stays on the 3? Seahawks
I
plus
think
3?
it stays on the 3. It's going to slide around a little bit, maybe with the big, but
okay.
I think it stays on the 3.
You're right. I know they'll decide MVP some other way with other metrics, Tom Brady, Carson Wentz, but truly, if you're taking it literally, no bigger MVP than Russell Wilson. Great game. Seattle at Jacksonville. It's a great week in Week 14 in the NFL in terms of matchups. Perhaps none greater than this one right here. Afternoon game between the Eagles, 10-2, still tied for the best record in the NFC and the NFL at that. Just come off the Seattle loss against the LA Rams, who beat the Cardinals last week. It is the Rams' 9th win of the season. That is the first time in 14 years that the Rams have guaranteed themselves a winning record. Rams -2 here, total at 49. Where's the money going?
Money is kind of haven't shown up on this game too much yet. We're getting a little bit of Ram money at home, because second week on the road for the Eagles, but the Eagles just stayed on the West Coast. Who knows what's going to happen here? I mean, we got all those fires going on all around this area.
Oh, very true.
So I haven't heard anything official as, if there's any threat that maybe something might happen in this game, but hopefully that's all calmed down by then. But I mean, the Eagles really, I mean, this is, for a team that's 10-2, this is a desperate game, I think.
It really is. They're staying, by the way, the Eagles are on the West Coast. They had the game in Seattle. They didn't travel back east. They're staying on the West Coast. But if they lose this, there goes home field position anyway for the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So this is a huge game, Week 14 in the NFL with 4 games remaining. We had this exercise this past week with college football where the committee was picking the 4 best teams in college football to be in the playoffs. If you had to pick the 4 best in the NFL, I'm guessing Patriots, Steelers, I still say Eagles. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Who would be your 4th? Would it be the Rams? Or maybe the Vikings or the Saints?
Probably I would say the Vikings because of their defense.
Okay, I'd probably go with that. Rams as it is. 2-point favorites in this one. Great game. Hosting the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday afternoon, Week 14 in the NFL. Behind the book for Week 14 in the NFL, Gil Alexander, Jay Rude, ready to wrap this up with some stats?
Let's do it.
And what you're looking for? I'll be looking for this. Bill Belichick. During the Bill Belichick era of the New England Patriots, this is the first time in the entire era of Bill Belichick and the Patriots where they've gone 8 consecutive games with their opponents scoring under 20 points. They're looking for their 9th in a row against the Dolphins this week. Of course, they're double-digit favorites in that one. What are you looking for?
What we're going to be looking for is injury, right? Late injuries. We got lots of injuries to quarterbacks this week. We want to, make sure that we stay on top of that so that we get the information at least as quick as the betting public does, which a lot of times we don't.
Yeah.
So we're going to have my guys, with their ears to Twitter and whatever else, trying to make sure that we understand who's in, who's out, and that we don't get taken advantage of. at the counter.
Good to know that you get taken advantage of sometimes. I like that you find that out the same way we do, though. Not some sophisticated algorithm, just information.
Information, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
we have extra guys looking for it, but the same way everybody does.
All right.
Social media, I don't.
Let's beat Jay and the boys again. Jay Rude, the Vice President of Race and Sports here at the MGM Resorts International, the empire that is. Thank you for joining us once again, sir. Appreciate
Absolutely, no, it's good times,
Gil Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Come on down, bet Week 14, either at the MGM Grand or any of the other MGM Resorts properties on the Strip. As always, Behind the Book, brought to you by the MGM app. Play MGM. Do it. Avoid the lines. It's fun. It's easy to bet. Play MGM app. For Behind the Book, for Jay, I'm Gil. Thanks so much for watching.